Hi, I'm Bet from BettesMakes, and today we're going to be making a witch's hat. And this is something that you're going to use for a decoration, or you can get really creative and make one big enough that you can wear. But we are going to use cardstock in order to make this. So let me just turn these off. I don't need to keep this, so let's just start a new project. I will simply replace it. We're going to have an upload file, which I will provide for you, and it is called Witch's Hat. So I'm just going to click on it and I'm going to add it to the canvas, and it's going to come in all black, which is fine. I'm just going to change the color to orange, and that's so that we can see everything that's in here. Now let's ungroup this, and I just want to see, oh, we have all these extra lines in here. So I'm going to Control Z, ungroup that. I think what I want to do is just move this out of the way. Now, is that all grouped together? Just these two? No, I'll move that out of the way. I'll move this one out of the way. Now I know there's something behind there, so I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to arrange it and I'm going to send it to the back. Perfect. Now that little item that's sitting on the top here is supposed to be a score line, so it is set for a basic cut. I'm going to come up here to operation and I'm going to set it to score. Everything else is a cut line there, so I'm going to put them all together. I'm going to group them and then I am going to attach them. So now this is the cone for the hat. Now this is the base of the hat itself. Now you'll notice that this is pretty small because the cone is only going to be 3 inches tall. And this particular item right here, there are just 2 cuts here. I'm going to make sure they're attached as well. There are 2 different pieces. Now they're also a cut, so this is very small. It's 3 inches as well. And then of course there's the band that goes around the back. Now, if we want to make sure that we have it a little bigger than 3 inches for each one of these, I'm just going to select them together. And I think what I'll do is I'll just let this expand just a little bit. And I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches now. And that should work because they're in proportion to each other. Now this may be a bit small, so I'm just going to make it a little bigger. It is now at 9.75. I'm going to make it 11.5. That's as wide as we can go. And that way I'm going to have a band that will fit. Now, of course, we're going to cut these 2 in black, and then we're going to cut the band in orange. And that's basically all there is to do with this file. It's just moving a few things around in order to make sure that you have the score line. So please pay attention to that part. Now let's go ahead and make it. And I will turn on my Cricut. And you'll notice it all goes to one mat, which is just absolutely perfectly fine. I'm going to move the hat band down to the bottom. And these 2 can stay in the same place. I'm just going to move it over so it's easier to take off. And I am just going to cut a piece of paper that's about 7 inches. So we're looking good here. I'm going to click on continue. And what I'm going to do is I am going to use a medium cardstock for this project. So it's going to ask for my scoring wheel. Okay, let's move over to the demo table. I'm just going to switch cameras. Okay, we're getting ready to cut the hat. I'm going to use black for the top part of my hat, and then I'm going to use this orange color for the band. And I've just moved it down on my mat so that I can push it in here. I'm not going to use the whole length of it, but I'm just going to cut a piece of it here. And this will be the top part. And what I'm trying to do here is the brayer tool is just to make sure it's firmly down on the mat. Oops. Okay, now I can load the mat, but it is asking me for my tool here, which is a 01. So that's my scoring tool, and I will just put it into my machine. Now, if you're using an Explorer, you're going to want to use our scoring tool, which will go into the pen slot here. So that's if you're using the Explorer family. Unfortunately, with the Cricut Joy, you can't score. So let's go ahead and let's load our material here. There we are. Let's unload the mat. And I'm just going over to design space and I am going to click on finish. That's just so it closes it. And now we're going to take this apart. So I'm going to start by turning my machine off, closing the lid gently, and just moving it out of the way so we have some room to work here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the mat away from the cut pieces, and that will allow them to stay flat. Oh, this one. No, this is just a scrap, so I'm not too worried if it curls a little bit. This is what happens when you pull it from the mat instead of rolling the mat. Move that off to the side, and I have a little extra circle I don't need to use. And now I want to back on my mat. Move it down, and I just want to keep it clean. And that's a scrap piece as well. So now I have the 3 pieces I'm going to work with. I'm also going to use something that I found at the dollar store, and this is going to be for the front of the hat. So when we put it together, we're going to have something that's going to look like this. Now, the band doesn't go all the way around, but that's just fine. And you want to add the little jewel on it so that it's going to look really cute when you're finished it. Okay, let me just put that one aside. So what we need to do now is I'm going to need a couple of tools here. I'm going to need something for creasing here, and I'm going to use a glue mat as well. I got this little glue mat at the dollar store as well, and I'm going to use some Aleene's tacky glue. That's so I can line everything up. Now what's going to happen here is these little cut edges that you see, they're going to fit on the underside of this mat, of this cap, but you could have cut a second piece of this if you'd wanted to. I don't bother, and it's simply glued in, and it looks like this when it's finished. So the first thing I want to do is I want to fold in my piece that's going to, so they can glue to each other. I'm going to put my tool here. I'm just going to give it a nice little smooth, so that when I glue it together, I'm going to have to get my fingers in there, and I'm going to be able to hold it together. So I'm going to just try and push it together here right now, try to make it in a circle more than anything. Roll it, roll back, making it into a cone. There we go. Got a nice little roll there. So the hard part is going to be able to glue this piece together and hold it into place while it dries. This looks pretty good where it's going to go, and then we're going to lift these up. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue to this edge. I don't want to add too much because I really don't need to have that much in there. Now you'll notice that I lay my glue flat, and that's so the glue always stays at the end no matter how much of it I have left. So the big thing here is you want to match the bottom as best as possible and then hold the other pieces in place. I'm trying not to get any glue going onto the hat itself. And that looks really good. Now I'm just going to hold it into place. I'm not bending it. I certainly want to hold it into place. See how it slid out of position here? So I want to make sure that we stay in position as best as possible. Don't worry if you don't get enough at the top end of it. Just don't want it to spring out when I'm doing the rest of it. So you can see that I've got a little extra down here that I can push that in. Add a little extra glue here, just a small amount. Get it underneath here. Small amount. Push that in there. Hold it into position. Make sure I don't get any extra. It does dry clear, but you want to be able to not see any of it. So I'm just going to hold that into place. It's a lot better. Another way to do it, of course, is put your hand on the inside and hold it into place. Remember, you don't have to be perfect with this. People are going to love what you make anyway. Let's just open this up a little bit. Hey, that looks really good. All right, so our next job is, because we want to feed this through, we also want to bend these so that they're going outward. So we're just going to gently bend them. We don't put score marks on these because it's just a matter of playing with them, and just bending them like this is plenty for what you need to do. That includes the part you just glued here. Great. So now we know that we're going to place this in here. All I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bead of glue. I'm just going to put it here so you can see a little bead of glue around the inside here. So just a little bead all the way around. Great. Just pick this up. Just push this through. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to press down around where we put the glue on the outside edge. So if I can push it in a little bit more here. There we go. There it is. See a little bit here. And wait for it to dry. There. Now that looks really cute. We've got the first part already, and as you can see, some of the glue pieces, because I pick it up too soon, I can just come through and then just tamp it down. Make sure it's going to stay in place. I've got glue on here now. Let me just wipe that off. For these glue mats, it makes it a lot easier because you can press right down on it and it's not going to make a difference. Okay, so our next job is to add the hat band part of it. Now you'll notice that when I put it around, you're going to get a fold. So what we have to do is just come to the part where we're going to put this, push it down, and then we're going to make a little bubble in the center. So what I'm doing is I'm just pushing with my fingers so I get a nice little fold in place, and that's where the jewel will go. Okay, so I'm just going to let it flap open a little bit, and we're going to apply glue a little bit all over here, and same on this side. Close to the end. And now, just going to put it into place here. Same with this side. Lovely. Now you could have done the same on the back. I tend to just put it because these are decorations. And then of course we want to put in the center here. Now that we've got the fold, I want to put my jewel in on that part. So what I want to do is just hold the hat up. Add a little extra. I'm going to actually a bigger blob there. Let's keep that closed. And now I have this little jewel. You can get these at any dollar store. And they have a little crafting section. And I'm just going to hold that in place. Now it will also dry clear. This is an Aleene's original tacky glue. I use it for almost everything. It's inexpensive. You don't have to spend a fortune on glue. Some glues will be better and some will not hold as well. But I have found that this is right in the middle, and it really takes care of everything we want. Now, this will dry, and it will dry clear. So now we have a hat similar to the one that I had done on the demo part of it for another class that I was doing. So you can see that we have this cute little hat, and that is it for our witch's hat. And I think you can see it here. Okay, let me just bring it up towards the camera. That is the cutest little hat. Now this is one that just fits as a decoration. If I put it on my head, it's just a little tiny thing. You could make these as party hats and just put little holes in the side with a bit of elastic. So that is our witch's hat. And until next time, happy crafting.